three, and we're able to do some good things. The running back, J.C. Baker, he had 175 yards on North Dakota State's defense, and they ran the quarterback also, and did some good things there. So that was obviously a couple of things that stood out to me there. And, like always, on defense, Brian Ward, our defensive coordinator, is want to give up big plays, and he does a good job there. And they're always sound, and they like to keep the ball in front of them.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and open it up for some questions now from the media.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Wendell Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
Good morning, Coach. Well, as you look toward the end of the year, what kind of record will it take? Do you have one in mind as far as what minimum to make the playoffs? Will 5-3 in the league hopefully be good enough?
I don't know. That's probably a pretty popular question these days. But can't really worry about that. You got to be focused on what's going on. I think every game is going to have postseason implications. You run a risk of losing 2 conference games. It's probably going to be pretty difficult for someone. So you just can't leave it up to that. Only thing you can control is your preparation and what you do during the course of the week. So you can go out and hopefully play well and give your team obviously the best opportunity to win. That's too far down the road for us to even start making any kind of projection. I know I didn't answer your question, but it's just too hard.
That said, the way the league performed in non-conference this season, 21-1 against FCS schools, how much do you think that will help, though, when you get to that point?
Well, I hope it does. But who knows really what goes on in those committee meetings. There's always some criteria and things like that, and I don't know enough about that. What really goes on in there? What I do know and what I can control is what I do with our team and making sure they're ready to play.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Again, to ask a question, press star 1.
Well, that was your only line of questioning today. Thank you for your time. Good luck against Western this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. See you. Bye-bye. Northern Iowa travels to South Dakota to play the Coyotes in Vermillion. It's the league's NBFC telecast game of the week. Will be aired on KOZI in South Dakota, ESPN3 nationally, and also on Mediacom. We do have Coach Mark Farley of the Panthers with us now. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
What can you tell us about the Coyotes and your preparation for this game?
Well, they're just like they're a football team, just like the rest of this league, and it appears to me that they've got good skill and their offensive line's developing, and they're aggressive on defense. So, and I guess they got home field advantage. So, we're getting ready to play them.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go to the questions now from the media for Coach Mark Farley.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Nick Gary of the Argus Media.
Coach, last year you faced Kevin Earl, and he had a pretty decent game. What are some things you're going to do this year? He's coming back again after a long layoff here. What are some things you're going to do to make sure that he doesn't take over a game kind of like he did last year?
Yeah, he took the game over. He did an outstanding job last year, so I'm sure he's looking forward to it. So we'll just have to play better.
Again, for questions, press star 1. Our next question comes from Jim Sullivan of the Waterloo Courier.
Coach, I forgot to ask him about McNeil yesterday. He was a walk-on at Iowa Central. How did he come across your radar screen at that time, after his time at Iowa Central?
Oh, he's went over there recruiting another player, and
happened to watch some film on him at the same time, and started the recruiting process from there. So basically, through recruiting another player, found him.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Nick Gary of the Argus Media.
Coach, I'm not talking about your team specifically here, but how do you coach when you're in a league like this where resiliency is really a strong part of how your success, and coming back knowing that there's possibility for tough losses? You coach different, having to get a team ready, knowing that this is a possibility that you're going to have to deal with a tough loss?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I don't know if you coach that because you don't plan for that. It's just that at the same time, you just got to make sure that, every game, I just think probably the best answer to that question is consistency. We all get up for a game or down for a game, or everybody picks their game that they really get high for. You guys played Oregon, so I'm sure you were high for that game, and we played Iowa. But how can you get your team to sustain that level of play each and every Saturday when you play in a really good league? Because every team's like that in our league, and in comparison, they're big games, and yet they're very quality teams too. So you want the consistency from week to week, and maybe not just the ups and the downs that go with that. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but that's probably what you would, or what I look to.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning, and good luck against us, South Dakota and Vermillion. Sorry. All right, thanks. Thanks, Coach. Let's get next to Coach Mike Sanford of Indiana State. Sycamore is ranked to number 20 in one poll, 22 in the other, hosting another ranked team this week. Illinois State's 15th in both polls. The game will be on Comcast Chicago and on ESPN3 nationally. Morning, Coach.
Hey, this is Ace. I'd give you my analysis, but nobody wants to hear it. I'll be in here in just a second.
Okay. Indiana State looking for a third straight top 25 victory. Last week marked the first time the Sycamores had won a game against a top 25 team while also being ranked. Indiana State also winning two top 25 games in the same season for the first time as a league member, and going for a third this weekend against Illinois State.
All right, Mike, we're ready to roll.
Good. Thank you. Good morning, Coach.
Hello.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Good. Congratulations on the win against Northern Iowa. It's been a while since the Sycamores have beaten not only a ranked team at home, but certainly a ranked team that had the name of Northern Iowa on their jersey. So congratulations on that victory last Saturday.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this weekend. Illinois State, an impressive start, 4-0, and last week they shellacked a pretty good football team in South Dakota State. They've not been beaten this year. One of just 7 teams in the FCS without a loss. Redbirds coming to town. What do you think?
Well, we have a ton of respect for Illinois State. They're 4-0. They are leading in a lot of categories and statistics. Scoring offense, total offense, a lot of different things. They've got the leading running back in the league. They're an outstanding team. They're very good on defense also. We have a ton of respect for them, and we had a very rough go a year ago over in Bloomington Normal, playing them there. So we have a ton of respect for them, and we've got to play our best game.
last week had a what I would call a measuring stick game with playing two nationally ranked teams, so benefit of playing them both at home. But both teams passed the test, and your team is sitting at 4-1, and certainly perhaps the nation's most improved team at the FCS. But let's go ahead and open it up now for questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Mike Sanford.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Randy Reinhardt of the Bloomington Pantograph.
Good morning, Coach.
Hello, Randy.
Roberson and kind of joint coverage last week with some rushing success. What is having a quarterback capable of that kind of rushing also? What kind of concerns does that give you when you're facing an offense like that?
It's a big concern. We knew a lot about Trey Roberson because of the fact that we played against him a year ago when he was a quarterback at Indiana. So we have some experience with him. He was a very good quarterback in red and white, but in a different team, and number 5. So we played against him a year ago. We have a lot of respect for him. He can hurt you throwing, and he can hurt you running, and he can also hurt you on passes where it turns into scrambles. He has a very good ability either to extend the play or to pull it down and run it. And then combining that with Marshawn Coppridge and his running ability. He's a very physical back, and this is a big challenge. These two guys, for our defense, because our defense, needs to, that's going to be the key to the game is us being able to control those two guys.
And Coach, you've already had some pretty big wins already this season. Did one of those or something happen early on that has really instilled some confidence in your team after the tough year last year?
Well, I think, one of our things in the off season was change and improvement, and we emphasized that and developing our leadership. And then, I think, honestly, I think the game that helped our confidence the most was our opening game against Indiana in a loss. We were in position to win that game. Even though the score ended up the way it did, we had 2 red zone trips that they held us for field goals that if we scored touchdowns there, we believed it was 21-21 going into the fourth quarter, and we felt like we would have had a chance to win. So really, I think we found out and learned that we had a chance to be a good football team in the opening game, even though it was a loss. And then we had a good game the following week against Tennessee Tech, and that was encouraging. And then I think that the win over Ball State, obviously, that win was very encouraging also. So I think it's kind of a combination of things over the course of the year.
Good, thank you.
Again, to ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our next question comes from Todd Golden of the Tribune-Star.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Todd.
When you look at Roberson, the statistics look similar to what he had at Indiana. Is Illinois State using him in any kind of different way, or are they using him basically the same way?
Well, I think they're one of the characteristics of good coaching is do what your quarterback can do, and I think they're doing an excellent job of doing what he does well, and that's the combination. He's a good runner. He can run the zone read stuff. He can run, he can scramble, and he can throw off a play action and with movement or drop back pass. So they're doing all those things with him, and I think they're doing a great job with him.
Thank you.
Mike, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning, and good luck this weekend against Illinois State.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye-bye.
let's segue into Indiana State's opponent. We do have Coach Brock's back of Illinois State with us. The Redbirds, one of just 7 teams in the FCS without a loss, sitting at 4-0, including an impressive win against South Dakota State this past weekend. Morning, Brock.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. Well, let's talk about Indiana State. I mentioned just briefly that they look like they're perhaps the most improved FCS team in the country, sitting at 4-1, ranked number 20, despite their preseason ranking. Everybody seems healthy, and they're playing good football.
Yeah, they're very good. And, Coach has done a great job with them, their staff, and they're a vastly improved football team from a year ago. You can tell by watching tape that they've, settled in on a system and they have a very good system offensively, defensively, and their special teams. They're playing very well, very confident. The quarterback is a very good player. They throw the ball well. They're balanced offensively. They know what they want to do defensively. They're playing a lot of players on defense. So just been really impressed with them and how much they have improved. They're definitely going to be a handful for us, there's no doubt.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and open it up now for some questions for you from the media. Questions for Coach Brock's back.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Todd Golden of the Tribune Star.
Hey, Brock.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
Good. Of course, you coached Colton Underwood, Connor Underwood's brother, and I was writing a story about Connor, and I just wanted to get your perspective on what maybe some of the similarities between Connor and Colton are, and maybe what sets them apart a little bit, too.
I think they're both, things are similar with both players. They both play with a passion. They have a high motor. They're very physical, tough players. Guys who make plays, have to count for them all the time. In protection or in your blocking schemes in the running game. They're just guys that are very active. What sets them apart, I think they're really different personality-wise. I think Connor has an edge to him. That's a good thing for a football player, and he's very, very tough. Not that Colton's very tough, but I think Connor has a really an edge. A little bit more free-spirited, maybe. I guess I don't know the boys that well. I don't know Connor as well as I do Colton, obviously, but seem to have a speed in just the way he plays, and so a lot of similarities but some differences. So that's kind of the difference I see. Both similar size-wise, Colton might be a little bit muscle up guy. Connor's kind of a raw bone, length guy. Just a big, thick guy who looks just a rugged kid. Colton looks like a bodybuilder. I haven't seen Connor obviously in street clothes as much here lately, but that's kind of my impressions of him. But they're both tremendous players. Both have qualities that you really like to have in a great player, and they're both very good.
What characteristics of their background, if you take into account their differences a little bit, they're both succeeding at the Valley level, and certainly Colton's moved on to the NFL, but what do you think runs through their family and their background that gives them both the drive to be successful?
Well, I think, their parents, did a great job raising them. Both mom and dad were athletes, and they're both very competitive guys. So that has to stem from the environment they were raised in, and they're both tremendous kids, good students, and never have to worry about them socially, good guys. So that stems from parenting and how they were raised. Both parents are very competitive people. Both parents were, highly skilled athletes. So I think that's probably where it comes from.
All right, thanks, Mark.
You bet.
Our next question comes from Wendell Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Is there a minimum number of wins when you look at the postseason, saying if we get to X amount of wins, where we feel pretty good about the playoffs?
I don't know anymore. I thought a year ago, we felt that we did enough in 11 to get in with 7 wins, and that wasn't enough. And then there was a team or two in the league the year before that got in with 7 wins. But I think every year is different. Than last year, and you think, well, I guess 8's the number, and then Youngstown didn't get in with 8 wins last year. So I think in order to guarantee yourself a spot in the playoffs, you got to win your league, and that's all you can control. And if you don't do that, then you leave it up to a committee to vote you in. You know, I obviously think our league is a tremendous football league. If you have a winning season in Missouri Valley, you've had a great season, a good season, anyways. If you win up to 7 or 8 games, I think you are playoff worthy, and I think coming from this conference, you should be in the playoffs. But you know, that's just my opinion. I'm sure it's the opinion of a lot of our coaches in our league. But you know, we don't sit on the selection committee. But I think the only thing you can guarantee is if you win the out-and-out championship here in Missouri Valley, you're in. So I guess that's what we have to do.
Does the 23-1 record against FCS Ivy League competition give you a better comfort level at all this year?
I don't know if we give them a comfort level. I just think it just verifies what we all believe in the Missouri Valley, that you know, we are the premier FCS football conference in the country, and I think that just validates it even more. And we, you know, North Dakota State's won 3 national titles, and you know, we've had teams play for the title, and have teams in the semifinals, and I think you know, that more the 23-1 record is, you know, speaks volumes. You know, and you know, we've all beaten out of conference teams, and I think we cheer for each other. I know I do. I cheer for all the Valley teams when they're playing out of conference, and because it helps all of us. You know, it validates how good our league is. So I can't hurt, that's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
Brock, that was your last line of questioning. Thank you for your time this morning. Good luck this week.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, have a good day. Bye-bye, Coach. Bob Nielsen of Western Illinois is on the line with us, and Leatherneck's playing at Youngstown State. The Penguins ranked number 10 in the coaches poll this week, number 16 in the Sports Network. Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Tell us when you see about Youngstown State, when you look at them film, how is Western going to get a win in Youngstown?
Well, you know, they're a really good football team, a lot of experience. You know, defensively, they very sound. Got good players at all 3 levels. Offensively, you know, one of the best running backs in the league, and I think, you know, the thing that's been impressive offensively is the number of big plays they've made, and certainly that's the challenge. Is you've got to try to eliminate as many of those big offensive plays as you can, and you know, that the win against Missouri State, you know, a couple of big plays really were a big difference in that football game.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and open it up now for some questions for you. Questions for Coach Bob Nielsen.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Scott Holland of the McDonough County Boys.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
How tough is a place like Youngstown to play? Because you always hear about it. That's one of the tougher environments in the conference to play. And how would you compare it to with some of the places you guys have already been this year, like a Northwestern or a Wisconsin?
Well, we were there last year, and you know, so at least the one thing about it is most of the guys on our team have been there. We played an evening game that last year as well. You know, it's obviously, you know, they've won a lot of games at Youngstown State, and understand what good you know, home field advantage is all about. I think the one thing that, you know, our team has is we played at a lot of difficult places. You know, this year you know, Southern's a hard place to play at. They had a great crowd down there. You mentioned the fact that we played at Camp Randall Stadium, so our guys are used to playing in environments that aren't favorable for road teams, and you know, and hopefully we learn from those games how to play in those environments.
And also, Coach, it's kind of been the recurring theme for the guys when you talk to them after games. Is just a play here, a play there is really just what's causing them to fall short. Do you sense any kind of frustration setting in with the guys, and if so, how does the coaching staff, you guys kind of deal with that?
Well, you can't be frustrated. You know, we've played competitively. All through the first half of the season. But playing competitively and winning football games are two different things. You've got to just play. And I talked about this with our schedule. You just have to play really, really good football to win in the Missouri Valley Conference and against the non-league opponents that that we've lost games to, and even though we've played decently at times, not consistently enough to win, but I believe firmly that you keep putting your guys in those kinds of situations that eventually you're going to break through, and I think that's what our guys feel as well.
Coach?
That was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye. Southern Illinois' Dale Lennon is with us, and the Salukis headed to Fargo to play North Dakota State in a battle between two teams ranked in the top 12 in the country. SIU sitting at 5-1, 2-0 in the league. North Dakota State 5-0 and 1-0 in league play. Morning, Coach.
Well, Mike.
Let's talk about the test this weekend. The Bison had a test at Western Illinois and came away with a fourth quarter win by scoring twice after falling behind by 7. Let's talk about the Bison. What do you see when you look at them on film?
Well, it's they got it going. It's one of those where there's not a whole lot of difference from last year's team to this year's team. They're going to have close games. They're going to be challenged, but they have that winning attitude where they find a way to win it in the end, and that's where we've come up short over the years, is that fourth quarter, and that's something where North Dakota State really can flex their muscles when they get to that fourth quarter. So that's the challenge. We got to play a complete game, quarters 1 through 4, and we got to find a way to have a strong finish.
Yeah, you mentioned the second half that both teams have been pretty impressive. Your team has outscored its opponents 114 to 13 in the second halves, and the Bison gave up their first second half points last week to Western Illinois. So conditioning and the strength of the team has been proven by both clubs for this weekend.
Well, yeah, and it's I think second half performance is a good measurement on the quality of the team, and when they haven't given up a touchdown, this far into the season, that's extremely impressive. And plus, our media people always makes me aware of the fact that we've only scored 2 offensive touchdowns against them in the past 4 years. So, we got our hands full here.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for you from the media. Questions for Coach Dale Lennon.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Jeff Kolpak of the Fargo Forum.
Good morning, Dale. Was it difficult to put together a new staff in the off season with your assistants going other places?
Well, let's just say this past year it's been challenging. It's anytime you lose coaches that have been with you for a long time, and you're always looking for that next hire, and you're making your own list, trying to piece it together. But this was a very challenging past 6 months for myself and for the staff coming together, but extremely proud how the guys have come together. The chemistry of the staff, I think, is extremely strong. We've done a good job of adjusting to each other, and the players have responded well. They've taken to the new coaches extremely well, and sometimes change is good too. And I think it did kind of bring a new energy within the team, and we tried to turn something that could have been a negative into a positive, and so far, we've done pretty good at doing that.
Was there a concern that was going to hinder progress? Because it sure doesn't look that way.
Well, there's a lot of concern with that. We did make a philosophical change in the offense, which again wasn't major, but it was enough. It's different, and even defensively, we made a philosophical change. And even though Coach Whiter and I have been together for a long time, his defense is different than my defense, and the philosophies are different. And that's the thing that we had agreed upon, basically, to
your way, Bubba, and I'll let you do it. But when I decided to take hold to the reins, now I got to do it the way I see it, and so that's different enough to be different. And that's been a new challenge too, is just managing your time between being a head coach and a D coordinator, and also how you address the team. I got to make sure I'm not addressing the team as a D coordinator too many times.
That was my next question, so I guess I'll phrase the question this way. How is your 3-4 defense different?
Well, it's just how we term it, how we work it. Again, there's enough similarities there where I wasn't building a brand new machine. It was just how I piece it together is different than how Coach Weiger pieced it together. So, I just do things a little differently than he did, and over the years, I've had 4 defensive coordinators that have coached under me, and they've all run this 3-4 kind of in their own unique way, and that's what makes this 3-4, I think, a special defense, is you can adapt it to a lot of different philosophies, and the reason I stepped into that position myself was I didn't want to get away from the 3-4, and so I just figured that this was the time for me to get back in it and see if I still knew what I was doing.
And my last question, seems like your quarterback play is better than recent years. Is that true, and how important is that?
Well, again, the statistics would probably indicate that it's true. The thing I like with Mark Ionati is he's a competitor. He's one of those tough quarterbacks who can rally the team. The team will respond well to him. He'll stand in there. He'll take a hit. He'll take off and run, make a play with his legs. His accuracy has been very impressive. That's what we're looking for, too. We'd like to have him, in that 70 percentile with his completion percentages. And, he's working, through that number. And so he's kind of fulfilled what we've needed to lead this football team. And plus, we needed more of a more self-run run presence. So I think with our run game being better, that's helped our quarterback, fit into the system easier.
Great, thanks.
Our next question comes from Brian Shawn of NBC North Dakota Sports.
Hey, Dale, how we doing?
Doing good, Brian.
Hey, I was going to ask a little bit, with some of the coaches that did leave with Coach Schweigert and Schmidt and Coach Hedberg, do you still talk to those guys regular basis, or what's it been like since they left the staff?
Well, it's too busy now to talk with anybody. My mom was here, and I barely got to her, so, everything left on great terms. With Bubba leaving to be a head job, you can't, head coach, you can't fault him for that. Coach Schmidt leaves to be a defensive coordinator. That's definitely understandable there. Coach Hedberg going back to North Dakota, be around family with North Dakota State, pretty good program, so you can't fault him for that. Coach DeBoer goes to a D1 coordinating spot. So all those things, they moved up, they advanced their career. It just happened to be all at once, which it definitely made my Christmas vacation less enjoyable.
I hear that. And I guess, Dale, you talked about more north-south. Having kind of a guy as your offensive coordinator that has more of an offensive line background, kind of more of a gritty, I guess the way he looks at things, is that led to what you would call a philosophical change offensively, is try to be a little more smash mouth?
Most definitely. And that's one of the things, when I was first hired here at Southern, I wanted Bill Boyle as my offensive coordinator. He was the head coach at Shadron at that point in time. So, when I had the opportunity to hire him a second time, I definitely jumped at it, and I hired him with the intention that someday he could be the offensive coordinator. So, and when Galen left, that was just a natural progression for us, and he stepped into it, has brought the type of attitude that I want with our offense. Our offense has that. I think there's a little more toughness there, and that does reflect off of his personality. He's a tough, intimidating type coach, and our players want to play well for him, and that usually bodes well for having some success.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
Our next question comes from Dominic Izzo of WDAY TV.
Coach, good to talk with you. I was curious what your thoughts are on why you guys have been so good in the second half this season, outscoring your opponents by 100 points. What is going on at halftime with you guys?
Well, again, I get asked that question all the time, and I don't want to make too big of a deal of it. I think we have a veteran football team. I think you see that with a lot of veteran teams, that the second half will be a little better. Normally, offenses come in, they have all these different wrinkles they're showing you the first half. A lot of times you need to kind of get settled down before you can make those adjustments. And I just think our confidence is at a point at halftime when we go in and we meet, the players believe in what we're doing. And if we make adjustments, we go and address them, and then we come out the second half, and the confidence is high. So, and we've been behind a couple times at halftime too. So I've been very pleased that we've been able to overcome deficits and work our way back into a strong finish on the game.
Also, let me ask about, I know the Purdue game didn't start the way you wanted, but obviously it finished well. What did you take out of that matchup with them? And it seems like it certainly helped over the last 4 games.
Well, it has, sometimes you just need a lesson, okay, how do you handle big game settings? And, the Purdue game was big for us. That's the one thing we haven't done since I've been coach here is have that FBS win. And, that's not an easy task to do, but we think we're at a position where we should be able to compete for that win. And so it was disappointing that we didn't give ourselves a better chance at the beginning. Once we got settled down, we played very well. And that's something that we got to learn from going to the Farm Dome. The atmosphere is going to be electric, and sometimes that can be overwhelming in itself, and we can't let it be overwhelming. We got to make sure we focus on the game plan and execute the offense, defense, special teams plan as close to perfection as we can.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Coach, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
All right, Mike. Take care.
Thanks, Dale. We have Coach Joe Glenn of South Dakota with us. The Coyotes hosting Northern Iowa this weekend in Vermillion. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Let's talk about Northern Iowa. Pretty good football team. Record is 2-3, but that includes a loss to a ranked FCS team and 2 close losses to FBS programs. So you know how good the Panthers are. What do you need to do to get a win against them this weekend?
Well, the last 2 years, both games have gone right down to the wire. In fact, last year 2 overtimes. The year before that was within a touchdown. So we've played. This is an old rival team from the old days of the North Central Conference, getting way back to when I played here, fighting these guys. So it's a team that we have matched up with pretty good the last couple of years and really slugged it out. And I don't think it'll be any different this year. I have tremendous respect for the coach and what he's done. He has tough defense and really a downhill offense with the quarterback and tailback being special players, veteran receivers. So a lot of respect for him, but at the same time, this is a game both teams really need badly, and we're trying to get this thing up and running here. And this homecoming game, Dakota Days, sellout crowd. It's just, and we got to rebound from a bad half of football at Southern Illinois. So there's a lot riding on this game.
Great, thank you, Coach. Let's go ahead and open it up now for some questions from the media for you. Questions for Coach Joe Glenn.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Jeremy Halleck of the Yankton Media.
Joe, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy.
How's things looking with Kevin Earl, your guy this week?
Kevin is up to bat, so we're ready to go. And we practiced on Sunday, and he's cutting it loose, so he's full speed ahead.
Okay, and in what way have you noticed? Obviously he had that pin and that plate put in. Obviously, probably helped the recovery. But what have you noticed from him? Even in limited practice time.
just ready to go. You really don't notice any difference. He's a big, tough guy now. Comes by that pretty honestly. I think most people know his dad was a fullback for the Chicago Bears way back in the day in front of Walter Payton, and he was a bruiser, so grandfather was a football coach. I think Kevin knows what toughness is all about. And, now he's healed and freed up and ready to go. Okay, thanks, Joe.
Our next question comes from Nick Gary of the Argus Media.
Joe, if you know, how'd you come out of it health-wise last week?
We had a concussion that about midweek they got to pass a test before they'll get to play. So we're waiting to see how that's going to turn out. And otherwise, everybody, he got some ankles and some stuff like that. But really, we got our starting nose guard going to play for the first time. He started the last 2 years, and talking about Nick Jacobs, 280-pound nose tackle, that's been a very good football player for us the last 2 years. He had a problem with his spleen after a virus, a really lousy virus, and it slowed on him, and now it's kind of gone down, and it's back up under his rib cage where he's protected. He's cleared to go, and he's got his weight back up, and he should be really fresh. He hasn't played yet, so it's good to have him back. So that's a shot in the arm there, and of course our quarterback is back, and he threw for 375 yards in this game a year ago, so I think our opponents know how good he is, and he means that much to us. Thanks, Joe. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Jim Sullivan of the Waterloo Courier.
Coach, you came in the Udall last year and won a come-from-behind dramatic game in double overtime. It really seemed to mean a lot to you and your players. Is that game still being felt today? Is there still an impact from what happened 12 months ago?
I don't think so. But you know what? It's kind of an indicator that, you can touch gloves with a real good heavyweight and hang in there. And up until that point, we had played a lot of teams really close and just weren't coming away with a victory. And 2 years ago, we played over here against Northern Iowa and had a battle. So it just, I don't think we're reflecting back on it, but, it's got to give you some confidence to know that Northern Iowa may be the top program in the league since the inception of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, that we have hung in there for the whole fight and got a win. So, no, that doesn't have anything to do with this year's game, but I don't think you totally forget about it. That's for sure.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from Jeff Kolpak of the Fargo Forum.
Hey, Joe, what do you think of the Southern Illinois quarterback?
You know what? He played lights out. He really played a great game. I was amazed. I didn't know he was that good a quarterback, and I have respect for him through film work, but he was amazing. And I will tell you that they got it going and that they can take a lot of the pressure off him because they ran the football so well. Agnew can help him a lot, but he's got some guys now. They got some speed on the wides. They're really active, not only in receiving but in the return game. And we all know how good Michael Pruitt is. And they find ways. The little Boyles do a great job of moving the ball around to different guys and getting the touches. And then when things didn't always go just right, the guy made plays with his feet and with his arm. I was really impressed with him. I think he's a heck of a quarterback, Iannati.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's get next to Coach John Stickelmeyer of South Dakota State. Jackrabbits hosting Missouri State in Brookings this weekend. Good morning, Coach.
Well, Mike.
Well, let's talk about Missouri State. What do you see other than a very good football team when you look at them on film?
Well, we found it out last year, and they finished great last year, and they started great this year. They're a good football team. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Their quarterback, just like the young man from Illinois State, it all revolves around him. And he's a good player and a seasoned player and a cool player. Man, I watched him on film, and it looks like he didn't have a heartbeat. So he's a concern. And then they play a really good game of defense, and they're physical. So they're a good football team. Like, Jerry Allen's a good friend of mine, and I'm really impressed with what he continues to do down there.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions for Coach John Stiegelmeier.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Wendell Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, Coach, how are you? Has Zach Galugin done how would you say, what kind of job has he done since he took over the quarterback duties?
Honestly, I think his best game was when he didn't know he was even going to play against Missouri. He went in, it was 21 for 28, got us to a 3-point game at one point, had some turnovers that hurt us. And since then, for whatever reason, I think his game's fallen off a little bit. Part of that is the coach's responsibility to not overload a young man. Part of it is just making plays, and we've had some turnovers that have hurt us, and we have to try to eliminate that, or that'll kill you.
What's the latest on Austin Sumner? Is he anywhere close to getting back?
No, he's at his 4th or 5th doctor's appointment today. In fact, we're finding out if we can start putting pressure on his foot that was injured, and so I would say he's probably 3 weeks away from coming back. He's still in a boot and has been without pressure on his foot, so it was a severe injury.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
You bet.
Stig, that was the only line of questioning this morning. Thank you for your time. Good luck against the Bears this weekend.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. North Dakota State head coach Chris Kleiman is on the line with us. The Bison hosting Southern Illinois, both teams ranked in the top 12 in the nation, and both teams having a dominant second half of games, and no exception to last week when North Dakota State came back and scored the final 14 points to win by 7. Morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Good. Let's talk about Southern. They're a very good football team. They're sitting 5-1. They've won both of their 2 league games so far, and sitting atop the league standings with a 2-0 conference mark. What do you see when you look at them on film?
A well-rounded, really well-coached, good football team. Obviously, they're 5-1 and are 2-0 in the league, so they're on top of the league. And very impressed. Both sides of the ball, especially in the second half. They've made some unbelievable adjustments, and kids have come through and made a lot of plays in the second half. And obviously, both those 2 games against Western and South Dakota were in doubt at half and could have maybe gone either way. But give Dale and his staff credit, and the players, they've done a great job in the second half of making adjustments and finding ways to come out with lopsided victories.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for you from the media. Questions for Coach Chris Kleiman.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Todd Hefferman of the Southern Illinois newspaper.
Hey, Coach, how well have your safeties, made a difference for your defense this year? Hinkle and Douglas?
Yeah, they're really both quarterbacks of our defense. When you've got Christian and Colton that have played for 4 years, it gives you a comfort level on defense that you can do an awful lot of different things because they can get you into the right call and right check. And at critical times, they both have been unbelievable playmakers for us for 4 years now. So, to have those guys back for their 4th year, it's been a lot of fun for a coach to be able to coach those guys and know that they're going to be in the right spot, they're going to make plays, and they're going to make sure that our guys, as both our captains too, that are going to make sure our guys are ready to play.
So when you look at Southern, defending them, do you try to take away their best players? Do you look at Agnew or taking away Pruitt, or how do you try to take away both of those guys?
Well, I don't think you can shut them both down. I think that's really hard. They've got a tremendous amount of weapons, and Billy's doing a great job. Well, Boyle, I've known Billy for a long time. He's doing a great job spreading the ball around, and they're able to run the ball with success. And obviously, Pruitt's been there for a long time, and he's a load. He's a great receiver. But I've been really impressed with the wide receivers as well. So you got to be careful about putting 9 guys in the box and thinking you're just going to stop the run because you'll get beat outside. So we've got to do a great job of mixing some things up, mixing our coverages up, mixing our pressures up, because they've got enough weapons, and the quarterback's doing a great job of spreading that ball around.
And Chris, this game is being televised locally. Does that mean instant replay will be available? Is that correct?
Yeah, all the games that didn't issue this year, instant replay will be in full effect.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Jeff Kolpak of the Fargo Forum.
Do you have an update on Zach Ross? Has anything changed?
Nothing has changed. We're going to try to work him out today. He didn't do anything yesterday, but we're going to try to work him out at practice today. And talking to the trainers, there's a good possibility that he'll be able to do some things on Wednesday, but we're going to at least run him today.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, that was it for you today. Thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, bye-bye. Missouri State is on the road. They play South Dakota State in Brookings. Good morning, Coach. We have Coach Terry Allen of Missouri State with us.
Good morning, Mike.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Let's talk about South Dakota State. Illinois State gave it to them last week, winning 45-10, and I know they'll be hungry this week to get a win, as is your team.
Yeah, nobody's more shocked by the score than I was. I couldn't wait to get in on a Sunday and see it. But, just got away from them early. They had some turnovers. They had a kickoff return. And, that's not a typical performance by South Dakota State. In fact, it scares me to death. I know John, and I know the caliber of the players and their attitude. And I think we're going to go into a buzzsaw, but hopefully we'll be ready.
Thanks, T.A. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions from the media for Coach Terry Allen.
To ask Coach a question, press star 1. Our first question comes from Tyler Maine of Jackrabbit Sports Network.
I have 3 questions for you. Just for starters, Kiera Harris, he's been in your program for a long time. Seems like this year maybe he's reached another level. Just what's he provided for your football team this year?
Yeah, we go as Kiera goes. He was very good in the first 4 games. I think he had 10 touchdown passes and 1 interception, but struggled last week. Youngstown's got a really good defensive front and got him a little rattled, and so consequently we didn't play as well offensively. But he's really the key to our offense football team.
Number 2, defensively, the linebackers and the defensive backs, a lot of guys back, but it's a young front 3. You've rotated a few guys in. How have they played so far this year?
They've done a nice job. Cecil Bratton was actually our defensive player of the game last year. He plays in there, last week. In there at nose, we play a bunch of them and try to keep them fresh and try to make sure they do their assignments.
My third and final question, and I'm sure you know this too, your first halves this year, you've struggled some, and your second halves, you played very well. Is there any explanation or reasoning as to why you seem to be a second half team?
Well, I think in most cases, I don't know. I'm just guessing with you. We'd like to start a little bit faster. There's no question about that, and we're going to need to do that against South Dakota State.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Wendell Scranton of the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, Terry, the only grass game of the season this week, is that any kind of concern, or how do you prepare differently, if at all?
Well, all these kids have played on grass, and obviously it's different, but the weather forecast sounds like it's good. I think the field looks like it's in pretty good shape, and I know they're not supposed to get any rain up there, so I think hopefully it'll be business as usual.
Do you change footwear at all, or is it the same footwear whether it's artificial or real grass?
Same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Terry Vanderbeck of the Argus Leader Media.
I'll play here too. First of all, your road play has been really, really good so far this season, including that turnover margin. I think you're +5 on the road, which is exceptional. What do you attribute that to?
Well, we've had good ball security offensively. And our defense has really created turnovers. We played a couple teams that hadn't turned the ball over. When we played Central Arkansas, they had not turned the ball over all year. And then Youngstown was, down at Northwestern State, we were able to create turnovers, which obviously is important to do on the road.
You guys got the stadium boost this year, which Illinois State's had recently, and South Dakota State's going to get the next couple of years. In the short time since that's been finished, what's the impact you've seen?
I think it really helps in recruiting, and obviously, in our case, just the pride in the program from the university. Ours was kind of unique because ours isn't donor generated. It was passed by our students, and I think that had a really positive effect on our football team, that the students are willing to pony up to support football.
Sure. Last weekend, we in the league kind of riding high about conference opener and excited to get that going. And the truth of the matter is, half those teams that are just dealing with disappointment, some in more strict degrees than others. In your experience, what's the key to overcoming that? You remind yourself that half the teams are going to lose each week. The margin doesn't matter. All that. How do you solve that?
I understand your question. I think that I know I've done it with our football team. This league is so incredibly balanced and tough this year. We just talked about we're going into 8 different battles, and obviously we came up a little bit short in last week's one. But everyone's going to be the old term of Donnybrook, and I think that you have to have that mindset going into each and every game.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, that was your final question. Thank you for your time. Good luck in Brookings.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks to you. This does wrap it up. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we appreciate everybody's participation. We look forward to hearing everybody next Tuesday. Thank you.